When it comes to D&D, you know what I can't stand? Assholes. Those who try to ruin the fun for everybody. And today, we're gonna look at a few examples of assholes ruining the fun. Now, we did this before in this video right here, so if you wanna go check that out, you're more than welcome to. But we're gonna do it again because it's just so fun. Now, this time around, I only have 2 stories because the second one is kinda long. But it's the same thing. We're gonna look at Reddit Am I the Asshole posts D&D edition and see if OP was being an asshole or if the situation that they were in was just asshole-ish. And we're gonna work together to find that out. All right, so the first one says, am I the asshole for canceling D&D the day before a group of beginners' first one-shot? Let's see. Probably a mistake to post this from my account. I'm not showing your account, don't worry, buddy. I know that that's what you're really worried about. But I can't be ass making a burner, and I don't think I'm coming off as disrespectful. So as the title roughly states, I'm the DM and I canceled the one-shot session, which was meant to be an introduction to a friend of mine's 4 Final Fantasy XIV friends to D&D the day before we were meant to play. Starting off, you are supposed to introduce 4 newbies into the Dungeons and Dragons community. All right, let's continue here. A little bookkeeping. Me and my friends have a Discord server where we host our D&D games. As the local low-level enjoyer, I also host the one-shot sessions, which are ran when people are missing and we want to still play D&D. I do that actually. Whenever someone misses a session of the campaign that I DM, we do a one-shot in an alternate universe of our campaign instead of just continuing on with the campaign without them. So yeah, I'm already liking this guy. And it's perfect for when we want to introduce more people to some good old TTRPGs and we play online. All right, cool. So as y'all can probably guess, a session was canceled beforehand, about a week and a half beforehand to be exact. So I announced that there'd be a one-shot instead, and my friend asked if he could invite his 4 Final Fantasy XIV players, our friends, to let them try out D&D. I agree, and he helps them to make their characters. I add the stipulation that their characters have to want to join the Adventurer Guild, that the players have to personal message me. The second request is so I can kind of meet them beforehand, get to answer any questions that they have, and ask my own about them. Okay, that's actually fair. I kind of like that too. I don't just allow anyone and everyone to join in on any kind of session or any kind of campaign. I do want to meet up with them, see if I can gather their vibes, and just assess if I'm actually going to enjoy DMing them or not. So that's fair. But the problem for me came from no one messaging me. I tell my friend this 4 days before the game's meant to be, and he immediately ats everyone individually about getting in touch with me before the game. One of them does, but the other 3 don't. So 3 days before it's meant to be due, I make my own announcement as well that I'm glad there's such an interest to try out D&D, but that I need to know roughly how many will play so I can prepare the one-shot properly. When there's 2 days left, I make another reminder that I would really like everyone to shoot me a message before the game ASAP because it'd be very hard otherwise for me to DM. And I do get a second person to message me, but I feel like it was a bit vague if they even would play since they made a duo character with one of the other people who hadn't gotten in contact with me. They told me they were actively telling them to get in contact with me, but the person never messaged me. Okay, so this is a very typical problem for not just D&D players, but gamers in general, which these are Final Fantasy players, so yeah, they are gamers. Just getting in contact with someone. I'll probably speak more on this at the end. People who don't play D&D don't understand the exact nuances that DMs go through and their preferences. You know, when a DM requires them to do something, they actually want them to do it. You know, how strict it can be. How even people who do play D&D still don't bother with all that. But let's continue. I'll probably continue on this rant after the story has come to an end. So when there was 1 day left until the session, I think slightly less, and I had only been contacted by 2 out of the 4 new people, and there were question marks on other people as well, I made an announcement that I was canceling the one-shot, stating that there was too much going on at university for me to prepare a game for either 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 players without knowing in advance. Is homie saying that if all 4 of them agreed, then there would be 7 fucking players? Good God, dude. I struggle running a game for 4 players or even 5 players, and you're out here preparing to run a 7-player session? My goodness. I could have messaged them first in their PMs when they didn't respond to the first or second direct ping, but I honestly felt just too disrespected and lost motivation to take that step if they'd not even send me a hi. So am I the asshole? Okay, let me continue on with my rant before I move on to what else I want to say. What this guy is saying is that he feels a little angry that these people did not reach out to him before the one shot to confirm a few things. I understand that 100%. I totally understand that. But like I said, these are new players to D&D. They don't understand the importance of it. They really don't understand like what it means. Like you said, this would be your first time ever meeting them, so they don't know who you are personally. I don't know. Something tells me that your friend who said that they had 4 Final Fantasy friends that they wanted to bring on, something tells me, I could be wrong on this. I am just making a big assumption here. I get that. But something tells me that your friend just mentioned that they're doing that he is in a D&D campaign and D&D game, and that there will be a one shot in like a week and a half or whatever. And then the other 4 people were like, oh, that'd be cool to play. That'd be nice. And then your friend assumed like, oh yeah, let's all get together and play. Again, I could be wrong on that. Maybe the 4 people were like, you know what? Yeah, can you ask your buddy if we can join? Maybe that was the case, but as someone who has tried to get people into D&D and talked with them about getting into D&D, and then they just never give me a 100% confirmation, whether they say that they really want to or not, it is kind of frustrating, but it does happen. However, I do understand that you do not want to play with those types of people. Personally, I do think you probably should have messaged them individually just to, you know, maybe that would have got the ball rolling. Maybe that would have got the conversation that you're looking for started. So maybe, you know, just send them a quick message, be like, hey, are you still down to do the one shot tomorrow or whatever? Because like I said, they don't understand how long it can take to prep all this stuff. They don't understand how much effort goes into this kind of thing. Do I think you're an asshole? No. Do I think the other guys are assholes? I mean, not really. With the given context, I can't really say that they're assholes, but I also can't really say that they are in the right. You know, they're just ignorant. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. They're ignorant of what goes into a D&D session or a D&D one shot. They don't really understand that you need communication on every party. So personally, I don't really think that there's an asshole in this scenario. I think that it's just a lack of communication. All right, now moving on to our second and last story of the night. Like I said, this one is a pretty long one, so we might be here for a little while. But this is, am I the asshole for wanting to leave my D&D group for how another player is treating me? Hi, I am new to playing Dungeons & Dragons. I've always wanted to, and I finally got the opportunity to. My friends invited my fiance and I to join last June 2024, and there was a total of 10 people. Fucking Christ. I had high hopes going in, but lately I am riddled with anxiety every time I have to attend. At first, everything was fine, but there is this girl who I will call Leia. She's a huge smartass and talks down to people and acted like she was in charge all the time. She made a racist comment about the shade of brown her coffee was, stating she wanted her coffee to contemplate murder but not commit it. What? And says she can say that because she isn't all white. That is, okay, that is someone that is like maybe 4 or 5 generations removed of color that makes that type of comment. I could say that because I'm 8% black or whatever. I say that's beside the point. It was a racist comment to make. She retaliates and says I was being racist because in our campaign, in character, I called my fiance's character Birdman. He is playing a Kinku who is a raven humanoid. Okay. A lot to we are one paragraph into this and we already have a lot to unpack here. All right. I know this is a hot take. I know this is going to be a crazy thing to say. Racism is bad. In game, just making a little joke, like a little, you know, side-eyed joke, I think is fine because it's in character. It's these 2 characters that don't actually exist. And to be fair, maybe the coffee comment, it's all about delivery, I would say. It's all about delivery and like if it was actually said with malice or not, I guess. But wow, what a way to start this. I offered to make dinner one time, and she texted me the day of, asking me if I was planning on making my pasta dish. Mind you, we aren't playing at her house, and I asked the person whose house it belonged to if I could bring food. I told her yes, and thought that was the end of it. She asked me if I bought stuff to make it, and she then proceeds to tell me that my pasta dish wouldn't make it easy to roll dice and eat pasta at the same time. She then asked if I wanted to collab with her pork sandwiches that she was making. I was already having a stressful day and dealing with my feelings after cutting off contact to my paternal grandmother. I told her no to purchasing the items to make it, and she can make her pork sandwich dish, and said yes, I eat pork. I then told her I was going to bring my dish next session regardless. Around this time, our DM and Leia started dating. No! Oh, it's over, it's GG. And made it known by her going up to him and groping his chest in front of everyone and two of her cousins. I'm assuming it was in front of two of her cousins. She wasn't just groping them as well. I hope not. I'm hoping this isn't gonna take a Sweet Home Alabama-esque turn. When I found out I had this feeling that she was just going to get her way the entire time. How can you not have that feeling? I know I have a story like this too, where the problem player is dating the DM and everything just goes to hell. Okay, let's back up a little bit. So you offered to make a pasta dish. Leia says that that's not a good idea and wants to make a pork sandwich instead. That is pretty disrespectful. I mean, I don't know if you guys eat while playing. I know that some tables do that, and for those tables, it's fine. My table, we actually eat before we play, or we at least eat the majority of our food before we play, and then we have little snackies as we go. So if you guys eat at the table with your plates right in front of you, I don't see how it would be any worse than a sandwich. Not gonna lie. I don't see how a pasta dish would make it any harder than a sandwich would, especially if it's a pork sandwich. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking that Leia's just being a little disrespectful here. And like I said, with the problem player dating the DM, that's the best thing you can hope for, is that they have a bad breakup and the DM kicks her out. The DM makes an announcement to the group saying that if we have a disagreement about each other, to come to him so he could mediate, referring to the conversation, and asks who is bringing food next, and Leia and I had. She then very loudly says, "What side would go best with your pasta dish?" I felt so humiliated by this. This is how the food rotation came into place. I'm a little confused on this one. This is worded very weird, I'm sorry. But so you and Leia have this disagreement. I'm assuming it gets brought to the DM's attention and says that if there's a problem, go to him and he could mediate. And then Leia says in front of the group, what side would go best with your pasta dish? I'm not gonna lie, I don't quite understand the problem with this one. So let me just continue. By this point, she has talked to me like a child. Whenever I do something like fidget or mumble or share something I've done, she would always respond with, "Are you okay?" in a very judgy tone. I was talking about how I went to a SpongeBob rave with my friends and we dressed up. I was Mermaid Man and my friend was Barnacle Boy. Okay, let's continue. I showed her a photo of my friend and I and referred to her as my girlfriend. And she went, "Ooh, girlfriend." And like, "Oh, you're kind of fruity." Mind you, I'm sitting next to my male fiance with my leg draped over his. Like, no, I very clearly meant it as a friend. And when she sees the photo of us, she sneered and just said, "Are you okay?" The ooh, girlfriend thing, I feel like Leia kind of meant that in a playful tone. I don't know Leia, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other. But I feel like that was supposed to be like a joking sort of way. I could be wrong on this. And I do believe that these two things, what I'm about to compare, are two pretty different things. But you are sitting there with your leg draped over your fiance's leg, but you got mad at Leia for groping the DM when they were also dating. Like, I get it, groping someone in front of the group is different than sitting next to someone and just having your leg draped over theirs. Like, I get it, those are two different things, but I mean, they're both public pieces of affection. Groping someone in front of the entire group is different than just sitting at the table with your leg over someone's lap or whatever, but still. Also, SpongeBob rave? That's fucking lit. Like, are you really going to judge me for going to a SpongeBob rave and dressing up? We are playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. I have ADHD and I am prone to fidgeting and mumbling, and every time she catches me, she does the condescending "are you okay" bullshit. Okay, this paragraph is just OP crashing out right now. Another instance was when her younger cousin, 18 male, and my fiance, 23 male, went to go check out something in the bathroom. I pointed out how oddly shaped the bathtub was to the owner, Jim, 21 female. The boys went to go and check it out, and Leia looks at me and asks if I'm sure my fiance isn't gay. I was caught off guard and annoyed. Like, are you really making a gay joke of your just turned 18-year-old cousin who just graduated high school and a 23-year-old straight engaged man? At this point, I was getting fed up, and it wasn't helping that my fiance and Peter kept on, I don't know who Peter is, but kept on saying, I'm assuming Peter's the DM, kept on saying she probably doesn't mean to be rude to me. They weren't taking my side that she was being rude to me. I decided to finally talk to the DM because he is her boyfriend, and I don't know if he would hear me out, basically. I told him I've been contemplating quitting because of how Leia has been treating me and making me feel. I told him I was worried about going to him before because I didn't want to cause more drama for the group, and he was her boyfriend. His response was better than expected and told me that he didn't want me to leave and said he would mention this to Leia. He tells me she wasn't aware and wanted to meet up and apologize. Well, we did, and she just trauma dumped on me the entire time. I decided to be vulnerable and share how I felt about the comments she made about me, but every time I did, she would just share something horrible that happened to her. Her reason for asking me, "Are you okay?" was because her sister has bipolar disorder and said she was just looking out for me. Like, what the fuck? I was diagnosed for ADHD when I was 12 and finally come to terms with myself on it and being on medication for it. I was appreciative of the apology, but I felt like my point never got across, and our DM was there to mediate the conversation, but he just sat there. All right. That was a long one. So you went to your fiance and this Peter guy, and they said that they don't think she's trying to be rude to you, but she just is. I mean, like, that could very well be the case of Leia just is kind of socially awkward and doesn't pick up on social cues. Maybe she really didn't know she was bothering you. According to this, you did say that she apologized, but she just kind of trauma dumped. I hate it when people do that, not gonna lie. I fucking hate it when someone's apology isn't really an apology. It's more of them finding excuses for their actions and trying to make themselves to be the victim. Her asking you, the whole "are you okay" thing, hitting her alt voice line is because her sister has bipolar disorder. Her sister has bipolar disorder, and you combat that by saying you were diagnosed for ADHD. I also have ADHD. I hate to say it, those two things aren't the same. I'm sorry. I don't have bipolar disorder, so I can't speak on that. But I get what you're saying. It's like, yeah, sure, your sister has this, but I also have this over here. So therefore, your sister isn't the only thing going through stuff. It just seems to me that, like, you were already fed up with Leia and made your mind up before she had apologized. That's kind of like what it's feeling here. But let's continue. It's important to note that I am white and can be mistaken with every other white blonde lady. I am Jewish and had mentioned it one time at a session, which led to Leia asking me all the time, exactly like this, "Because you are Jewish, do you eat pork?" At the very beginning of the campaign, it was made aware to the group that I was lactose intolerant, and Jim has celiac disease? I don't know how to say that, nor do I know what that is. And to keep those in mind for bringing food. I eat pork and have eaten pork in front of her. My last straw was this: she tells me I need to bring my lactate because the food she was bringing was all dairy, and then proceeds to apologize about not knowing how to make anything without dairy in it and how it's not intentional, and then asks to collaborate with her so she can figure out what to make that I can eat. She also asked me if since I'm Jewish, do I eat pork? Okay. It just feels like every paragraph has a lot to unpack here. I don't know. This I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, OP. This paragraph does not really make Leia sound like a bad person. I mean, because you are Jewish, do you eat pork? That could have been worded a little different, a little kinder. Honestly, it seems to me that she's actually thinking of you when bringing these foods. I mean, she straight up asked you, or she straight up told you like, hey, make sure to bring your lactate, which lactate is something that lactose intolerant people, it's a pill that lactose intolerant people swallow to not get hit with dairy. So their body isn't destroyed and they're spending all night in the bathroom. So that's actually a kind thing for Leia to do. Like I said, the pork thing, that could have been done in a better way for Leia. I mean, but like I said, she does very much seem like a person who doesn't get social cues, which I'm sorry, it doesn't excuse it, but at the very least, it's just like, with those types of people, you have to be straightforward with them. You can't just assume, if they say something that kind of upsets you, you can't just like make a face or do something and just kind of hope that they understand what that means. If they upset you, you have to straight up be like, hey, you're being an asshole. But again, that's no excuse for someone to be an asshole. It's the reason for it, but it's not an excuse for it. I feel trapped. I want to keep playing, but she keeps insulting me, and she gets favored all the time during our sessions. She yells at everyone. She never gets attacked in the game, and since June, her character has been getting more attention, while my fiance Peter, and that's who Peter is, and I almost die each session. I am unfortunately used to being disrupted, undermined, and manipulated into being ungrateful my entire life. On the outside, I look like I come from the stereotypical nuclear family. I never had a safe space. I was the eldest daughter. 2, I was always a disappointment. I was yelled at every day for anything and everything. I was forced to be friends with this one girl growing up because my parents pitied her. So I had to hang out with her all the time, and this girl abused me. I'm getting that feeling now because I don't want to leave the campaign because I've wanted to play for so long and I finally have the chance to, but I feel like I'm being harassed every time I go. I don't know what to do. Okay, first of all, that last paragraph, not really something you should post to Reddit. That's more so like something you should talk to your therapist about. It seems like, I feel like some of this is being blown out of proportion a little bit. Granted, I don't have all the context of everything. I clearly wasn't there, so I don't know exactly if, everything being said here is 100% truthful or maybe a little over exaggerated. I don't know, but ultimately it does seem like you are not, you don't look at Leia in a very good way. And it seems like, Leia upset you pretty early on. And since then, nothing that Leia does will redeem her in your eyes. It seems like at this point, you just kind of accepted the fact that you don't like Leia, and that's not going to change. Like I said, it seems from what I'm hearing that Leia doesn't understand social cues. I don't think you do either. Because like I said, this last paragraph here, where she asked you to bring your lactate, that does seem like kind of a nice thing to do. But it seems like you took it as an insult. It seems like you took it as, she was trying to boss you around or force you to eat this dairy stuff. And I don't think that's the case. It just seems like you've made up your mind on you don't like Leia and you never will. I get that people are like that. I know people who are like that. There are some people who I'm like that with, where once they've crossed a certain threshold, I'm just like, I don't like you and I never will, sort of way. So I get that. As for what you should do about this, Leia now, Leia, the DM, and your fiance, they all know that you are not very friendly with Leia, and Leia has done a few things to upset you. I really only have 2 options for you. Either 1, leave the campaign. Like you said, you don't want to because this is your first time you ever got a chance to play. But I mean, if this is the experience, is that really what you want? Or 2, what you can do is learn to just kind of brush off anything that she does, because it doesn't seem like she's doing this out of intentions of malice. It seems like maybe not everything she's doing is out of kindness. Maybe not everything she's doing is meant to be friendly, but it does seem like a few of the things that she is doing that is friendly isn't being taken that way. So just try to brush off anything that she does, whether it upsets you or not. So that's really something that I think both of you need to work on. You know, maybe both of you need to have an actual sit down where maybe you could get like a talking stick where you pass it back and forth, and you know, whoever has the talking stick is the only one allowed to talk. Either you and Leia need to patch things up, and both of you understand that neither one of you are doing things out of malicious intent, or you just kind of need to leave. There you have it. Those are the 2 stories I have for you today. Comment down below on what you think about those. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe. I try to post D&D videos once a week and a few shorts here and there. So thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.